Don't worry, lighting will soon be back to normal or something kind of more normal. I'm just waiting for a few other lights to arrive. But maybe you've actually noticed one thing over the last few weeks or maybe even months, that I have a harder time giving certain devices the proper full review treatment. But that's just because they don't quite excite me and I don't think they are quite worth it. Not meaning that they are bad, but they just lack of something that gives me the little something so I can fully recommend them. And the Huawei MediaPad M3 Lite is one of these. Like I said, not bad at all. And if you just get already to the crux, if you want a really, really solid multimedia device, especially with very good stereo speakers and actually even quad speakers in some way, good battery life and all that with a decent screen, you will get that. For the price of around 280 euros here, it's also not that bad, but there are just a few things why I can't give it the full proper treatment, and in this video I only want to go into the important parts and not to take up too much of your time. So first thing, design and build. I don't have to talk much about it. It feels actually really nice and premium. Yes, it does creak a little bit, as you can hear, but it feels nice. Button placement, I gotta say, is a little bit weird, because quite often by accident I actually pushed it if I had it like this and so on, so that's a little bit inconvenient. The rest though, yes, maybe not the smallest bezels anymore, but that is fine. In and feel is good. The fingerprint reader, not quite on the usual Huawei level, as you can see, especially with the long screen turn-on time. These are things that are all fine. Of course, here, speakers, as you can see, quad speakers, great. Headphone jack is still there. Microphones, all that is solid. Now the display, the only thing that I'm not the biggest fan of it is just that the resolution is nothing impressive, because it feels a little bit grainy. It is not an issue for video. If you watch videos like YouTube and so on, the screen is totally fine, and especially if you have it from a normal distance. But especially if you go into things like, for example, here text, you see that it is a little bit fuzzy. So this is where it doesn't deliver the best experience, but even that is all fine. Now the speakers, these are definitely the highlight, because if you quickly check them, yes, these speakers are top notch. They are very loud, they sound full, totally top. No complaints here at all. They don't need to be louder, they don't need to be any sort of better. We maybe don't get some extra options to tweak them, but it is also not necessary. Now, one reason why I'm just not fully committed to this device and pulling off a proper review is the performance. Because with the Snapdragon that we have here, the quite low-end 400 series, as you can see already, it's not fast. Once the app is loaded, as you can see, app performance is fine. And sorry for the glare. Like I said, I will change that. As you can see here, it is fine. But this app loading, as you can see, can sometimes take quite a while. Of course, now it's loading some articles. But it is quite sluggish, and especially if you jump between apps all the time. And even the white balance is off. But yeah, as you can see here, this is a little bit sluggish. It needs that time, and especially if you jump between many apps all the time, you will notice that it can become a little bit annoying. Once you are in, like I said, give it the time. If you are someone who wants to multitask but not really has to do the fastest multitasking, it will be fine. Totally. Don't get me wrong. It is a solid performer. It gets the job done, mostly smooth, but if you jump between apps all the time, then it will get quickly quite annoying. And gaming performance is also not especially great. 400 series Snapdragon, yeah, we don't need to talk much about more of that. Battery, what should I say? Almost 4 hours for a full charge. And about twice of that is what you get in terms of battery life. So about 8 hours, maybe possibly 9 hours, but usually with a brightness of around 40%, you should get around at least 8 hours over the course of one day. Usually like 1 hour less per day. That is all fine. Standby range was also very good. So no further complaints here. This is at least good, if not very good. So all good. Now, software. Let's check what it is running on. And as you can see, it is running 5.1 EMUI with Android 7.0. And it is pretty much an EMUI. As you can see here, quick settings. Of course, we have the launcher with now also an app drawer. We have a lot of smaller features, like we can change the buttons and all. But I really don't want to go into that because that is not important. The software, especially for a tablet, is reliable. It does all you would expect it to. So let's already get to the crux. 280 euros. It's not that it's overpriced, but I think the competition at these days is strong. because a while ago you could get something like a Lenovo Yoga Tab 3 Plus for around 280. Now it's a little bit more expensive again. I'm not quite sure, 330. But I would still say pay more because you get the way better display, you get the way better performance, the way better battery life. This, like I said, just for media consumption. Absolutely not a problem because the screen is nice, maybe not super high res, so a little bit grainy, especially for text. Speakers are nice and it will hold up for long enough. 280 or whatever it costs where you are, you have to decide on your own. I'm just not quite sure. If this would be closer to 200, I would say yes, because the issue is there is something like a Samsung Galaxy Tab 8 2016 10.1, and that one is noticeably cheaper. It's available for around 200, even sometimes less, and it's quite similar. It's not quite as good as in terms of speakers and maybe display and some other things. It's slim, but it's also noticeably cheaper. So this one is solid for the price. The value isn't the best, but you are already talking to quite close territory to something like an iPad 2017. Yes, it's more expensive, but this is kind of like this awkward price positioning. Pay a little bit more and you get something noticeably better, or pay noticeably less and get something that's not really much less. So you see, this is a kind of in-between, and I'm not a big fan of in-betweener devices. Go either full premium or go either full cheap, but this in-between, if you don't fully succeed in all aspects on that price level, then there is where I have a harder time recommending it. That would have been it. Okay, and like I said, colors and all that will be back to normal soon. I hope so. Okay, until next time. Bye.